Bois D'Arc Lake. Let's talk about it for a little bit. It is a brand new lake, northeast Texas. Okay, brand new lakes. What I mean by that is they just flooded it. Now they've been flooding it for a couple years, and I'm not going to get into all the stocking stuff and everything else like that. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the lake and why I'm going to talk to you about it. First off, I wasn't ever planning on doing this video till this morning. I ended up looking up something, and something popped up across one of my social media feeds, and it was Bois D'Arc Lake. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, these YouTube videos start popping up, and I was like, wow, there's 14 million people doing YouTube videos on Bois D'Arc Lake. And I didn't watch any of them, so I don't know what any of them said. I will say that I read some comments, because that's usually what I do, and I saw some stuff about, you know, like social media is killing these lakes. And I will say that when the lake opened, there are some people that just blew it up. I mean, just blew it up. Now, I went there. I hadn't really talked about it. I've made a flipping video from there. We went and actually did a TV show that's probably going to air. I really didn't talk much about it on social media. Didn't really say I was going there. Didn't really say anything. Here's what I'll say about Bois D'Arc Lake. So I went there for my own little personal reason. I wanted to go fish a certain way because I thought the lake was going to fish that way. I was wrong. Now, I think the fish will fish that way. I was wrong because at the time I wasn't really thinking about what time of the year it was. And so I compare it to Nacogdoches. Nacogdoches filled up a couple years ago. I don't know how long ago, maybe it's been 6, 7, 8 years ago. And it was this brand new lake. And I remember being able to get out on it the first time. Now, the first time was really interesting because, like, the first hour or two, you literally could throw anywhere you wanted to and catch a fish. Like, it was insane. Then it got real tough, and you could see everyone leave the lake. This was during the lotto. I caught the lotto. They were only letting like a certain number of people on the lake for like the first 2 weeks. A buddy of mine had another buddy who got like one of those tickets and was like, hey, you want to join? I'm like, yeah. So we didn't really do a lot of scouting or anything. We just went out there fishing, ended up catching them, whatever. I wasn't really that impressed with Nacogdoches, so I kind of never went back for a while, and then went back later and just started smashing on them. So I kind of thought it was going to be like that. When I first got there, the ramps were absolutely packed. Like that, I mean, people were parking everywhere. I mean, when I mean everywhere. So I was like, all right. Now, I'd never been there, so I didn't know much about it. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I just showed up. And I started driving. I was like, man, this place is kind of big. I guess it's bigger than what I thought it was going to be. I don't know what I was expecting. Nacogdoches is really small. This place was pretty big. It looked like I thought it was going to look. And I started fishing. And like I said, I went to go do a certain thing. And I kind of knew how those lakes were going to fish. I was close to it in the sense of I kind of knew like what to go look for, because it can be overwhelming because of the amount of trees that are in the water, right? So in this video, I'll put up some videos of like running around and what it looks like, and it's pretty wild. So we got up there, we caught some fish. It wasn't great. We ended up going for 2 days. Long story, I went with a buddy of mine. We caught some fish one way. If they were all like this, it'd be a lot more fun. But see, that's a pre-spawner. See, that fish see, they haven't spawned up here yet. That's part of the problem. But that's a total. It's a young fish. See how small his mouth is, but his body's big.
Yeah.
That's what they'll start to look like. Went to the Dallas Stars game that night, and another buddy of mine, Blake, showed up, and then we went out the next day. Now the next day, I will say we caught them a little bit different. We got sucked into fishing like everyone else for a little bit, for like the first 2 hours. And caught a couple, and I was like, this ain't the deal. And started doing our own thing and started smashing on them. Caught like 60. And we didn't really have anyone doing what we were doing. All I'm gonna say is this: I don't know, but I know what it looked like when we were catching 60, and we were catching them like sometimes 2 at a time. We probably caught more than 60, but I mean, we started smashing them. When we got around everyone else, we almost saw no fish get caught ever. And like I said, the social media stuff, I always say, is like, so y'all do realize, like, a lot of social media isn't real. A lot of YouTube isn't real. I don't like doing videos sometimes without showing fish catches, because like I said, I can pretty much just say anything I want to. Anyone can. And so even a cut up edited video on YouTube, you can show 10 fish on YouTube and it looks like you smashed on them. You maybe been out there 10 hours and caught 10 fish, 1 an hour, but you compress all that in 5 minutes, it looks like you smashed on them. What I'll say is, was it good? It was okay. It was fun. We had a good time. I had a good time because it was me and my buddies. But I wouldn't say it was like, I'll put it to you this way. You couldn't just go out there and fish. You can't just go out there and throw around and catch them. And catch them. Not catch fish. There's a big difference between catching fish and catching them. We caught them for about 3 hours really, really good. Like when we figured it out. I thought there was going to be more of that kind of water, and there wasn't. And so what's happening is I think a lot of the ways people are catching them, those fish are all doing the same thing, and it kind of it's getting pressured quickly. Now, I'm not saying you can't catch fish that way. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go out there and catch them. I just think you just can't go like pick up a spinnerbait and go down the bank and start catching fish. It's not going to happen. So don't have those expectations when you go there. We talked to a lot of people. You know, these are the people not on social media, and a lot of people struggle. A lot of people didn't catch them as good as they thought they were going to be. I will say that I think the difference between that lake and Nacogdoches is Nacogdoches filled up, and they wouldn't let anyone on it except the people that lived around there, and it stayed like that. So like the fish got big, and they didn't get hardly any pressure. So like this lake, they filled up and they let people on it right away. Like as soon as it got to a certain level, they let people on it. Well, you got to realize is anytime like you have a small body of water and you got all these fish in there, and then it expands almost twice as much, it spreads them out. So yeah, there's still a lot of fish, but it doesn't have time. Like if it had taken 2 or 3 years where they didn't let anyone on there, it'd probably be the most, 150 fish a day. But it's not like that right now. It is hard to catch a big one. Guys aren't out there going and catching big ones every day. I can promise you that. Like I said, I like it too, how you can watch social media posts and people talk about these big ones. All these, big ones here, big ones there. And then they post pictures, and there's pictures of 3-pounders. And I'm like, well, man, if you caught so many 6-pounders, how come you don't have just tons of, like, you got 5 pictures up, they should all be over 6. But you have like 1 6, and then the rest are like 3-pounders. See what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm trying to give y'all a more realistic view of what it's like. Second, when you go to the boat ramp, get ready. Get ready. Get ready for the boat ramp. So I've been there twice. The first time when we parked, I said, hey man, park up there. And we parked away from everyone. And I was like, I know you gotta walk, but look at the way these people parked. Look at, people were parked all cross-eyed and freaking jammed up, and some guy was taking up 2 lanes. I mean, he's like, I'm just gonna park right in the middle of this yellow bright line. You could tell. I'm just telling you, you can tell by the way someone parks whether or not you should park next to them. Then you had people, we had one guy's like, of course, you know, we pull up and get out of everyone's way and start getting our boat ready. And oh no, guys just pull up in front of the ramp, blocking 2 ramps sideways, and got all their stuff ready. So get ready. This is what you're going to encounter. I mean, I don't know where they come from, but they come. And I don't know how long it's gonna last like that. The second time, I'm sitting there all by myself waiting around. What happens? Someone, I don't know what, they parked. The next thing, they didn't like where they parked, and so they moved. When they moved, they backed right into this guy's truck. I watched the whole thing happen. I sat there and watched it, and I was like, all right, they'll probably say something, right? No, parked somewhere else, walked over to that truck. I'm like, okay, at least they'll leave a note. Didn't leave a note, got in there, walked all the way down there, got in the boat. I said, no big deal. So I went and left it. I actually went and parked by the guy, left him a note, said, hey, call me. I'm not gonna lie, I took pictures. And so, yeah, he ended up calling me, and I explained what happened to him. And I was like, hey, do with it what you will. It wasn't horrible, but it was just the fact of, you know, it was like no concern. I hit someone, no big deal. Just be prepared for all this. I don't know if this is being said on any YouTube video. I'm telling you. I also did a video of me running the lake. Here it is. Good lanes at Bodark. Water's high. Huh? Water's high. Yeah. I will admit, I didn't start running this right off the bat. I've traveled a lot to a lot of different lakes. And usually when I get on those lakes, depending on the lake, some lakes, I just take off. Other lakes look different to me. Okeechobee was one. Okeechobee had all this stuff in the water. Well, where I'm from, we have all that stuff in the water with stumps. And Okeechobee doesn't have any of that. It's just all grass. And you just run through it all. And it doesn't matter if it's 2 foot, it might be 2 foot for 5 miles. But it took me a while to get comfortable running that, realizing that that's what I'm gonna be running, and it's no big deal. Can't hurt anything. Well, I idled around. You see all these trees, and you see everything on Bodark. It's all flooded. And then after about couple hours of idling around, never hitting anything, I forget. Yeah, it's fine. I can run anywhere I want to. You can run anywhere you want to, because it reminds me of Falcon back in the day. When Falcon flooded, you see all these trees everywhere. But you can see them, they're trees. They're trees like this. And when you see them, that's what's there, a tree, not a stump. There's no stumps in that lake. Everyone got on there on this video. Some people did, and like, oh, that's you don't take care of your boat. This is the guy that's gonna run into stuff, lower unit. No, it's not. And just use this right here. That right there in 10 years might be a stump, because everything else will fall off that tree, right? If you flooded it. But for right now, it's just a tree. You can see what you would hit. Some limbs on top. You can't even hurt anything. I was running over bushes and things like that. Little bitty, you get a little machete and knock those things down. It's not gonna hurt anything. So if you see stuff, that's what you would hit. There's nothing under the water really to hit. And if it is, it's the top of a little bush or a top of a little twig. It's twigs, little bitty twigs. Now, could you hit a fence post? Maybe, if they're in there. I don't think they're in there. I have this weird feeling, just by the way the looks of it and how they build lakes now, that they're just not leaving these random objects in the lake. Like, they worked on it. You know, they worked on the lake. It wasn't like they just accidentally filled up where they couldn't mess with it. That happened in Toledo, and that's what like Toledo, they weren't done making it. That didn't happen in Bodark. They were finished. They were completed. Run it. I'm talking about, like, you can run through stuff. Not gonna hurt anything. I'm not saying you can always hurt. You can always hit something. Now, in a couple years, get ready. In a couple years, when these trees start breaking off branches, you're gonna see all types of logs and log jams all over that place. That's when it's gonna be dangerous, and it's gonna happen. Watch. But for right now, it's fine. I would say it's fine. I didn't sweat it at all. I was running all kinds of stuff. So I will say this: I went and saw more of the lake. Now, it was blowing on one side, so I haven't seen one side of it. And I've only been there twice. Way bigger lake than I thought of. Way bigger. I was not expecting it to be that big. I don't know why. I just had this thought in my head. It's way big. You could put 200 boats on there, by the way, and be fine. It sucks them up. You can go fishing for a long time and never see anyone. So it can fish big. Now, you can get in places where a lot of people are because they think that's where they should be. But I'm just telling you, yeah, it fishes big. It's gonna fish big for a while. And it's gonna be good for a while. And what I mean by that, it's only gonna get better. It just needs a couple years, and there's gonna be fish that never get fished for. You can't get to them. So no one's gonna ruin Bodark Lake. Social media isn't gonna ruin it. It's good, but just have different expectations, because I had some expectations of going there. Now, did we catch some fish? Yep. The second time I went there, caught some fish too. And actually it was a little bit better. However, don't expect you can just go out there and just start, like, just cast and just start catching fish. It's still a lake. You still kind of have to fish for them. You still have to kind of find some patterns. When we were there, there were some post spawners, mainly spawners and pre-spawners. The second time I went, there were less pre-spawners, more spawners, starting to get some post spawners. So I think the lake's gonna fish better after the spawn than before it, personally. So I'll probably go back. I don't know when, maybe a couple months. But that is my opinion of Bodark Lake. Pretty cool. It's cool, man. It's cool fishing in a new lake. We only get to do this a couple times in our lifetime. This is the second time I've ever got to fish a brand new lake. So I wanted to go do that. The facilities are nice. I think there's 3 boat ramps. I've only seen 2 of them. You can still load there. It's not hard to, you can load. They got big ramps. It was just look at the parking. I'm just telling you, park at your own risk. I'm just telling you, that's the main thing. I wouldn't worry about driving around. You don't hardly see anyone really driving around on that lake, so that's pretty good. But pretty cool lake. Got some cool fish. It's gonna be phenomenal. The genetics in there, like these little short fat bass, it's pretty awesome. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna get better. But nah, social media ain't ruined it. There's some goofballs out there that might ruin your trailer and your truck, but it ain't ruined the lake, not yet. All right, see y'all guys.